Not every privacy law is going to apply to your organization. So you need to be very careful with your research when you're looking at what you might be doing on a day-to-day basis. Hello, welcome back to Privacy Professional Training. It's for me. Today's video, we're going to be talking about what does a privacy analyst do in a day. So without further ado, I want to talk a bit about roles. So at Privacy Professional Training, we help you pass your exams. But ultimately, you might be thinking, what does a privacy analyst do? And what type of work am I going to get involved with once I pass my certifications? So I wanted to talk a little bit about a couple of different things. Depending on the organization that you work for, will determine what type of activities you conduct as a privacy analyst. Now, I can give an idea of some of the tasks you might be completing, but every industry and every organization is different. But what you might traditionally see, and what I've seen in the industry, is a lot of privacy analysts help with incidents, and they also help with privacy impact assessments. So a privacy impact assessment is basically a review, it's an assessment. Some organizations choose to do this manually. Some have privacy tools like OneTrust that assist them with conducting privacy impact assessments. One thing that a privacy analyst is more likely or more commonly going to be doing at an organization is conducting these impact assessments. And what that really looks like is you are responsible for discussing different processing activities with different stakeholders within the business. So you might be a privacy analyst for a software as a service organization. Now, a software as a service organization will have a marketing department, they'll have a sales department, they'll have a legal department, they'll have a human resources department, et cetera, et cetera. Every organization is different. But ultimately, every organization processes personal data in some capacity. Some business units are going to process more personal data than others. And an activity, a processing activity, is an operation or set of operations on personal data. So what's going to happen as a privacy analyst is you're going to be presented with questions from different business units like HR or sales or marketing, and they're going to be giving you insight into some of the activities they want to conduct. For example, the marketing team might come to you as a privacy analyst and say, hey, we're looking at running a campaign for a particular product that the organization has. Your responsibility when conducting the privacy impact assessment is to get the necessary details from that business unit to then present to legal to see whether it's an activity that can be approved from a risk perspective. So one of the things we do as privacy professionals is we look at risk mitigation. We look at what is the risk associated with a particular activity based on the applicable data protection laws. Another activity that you are likely going to encounter as a privacy analyst is you're going to encounter research. Now, the privacy laws are constantly changing. You've seen that from the exams that you're planning to take. You've seen that from the guidance documentation from all of the certifying bodies. The laws are constantly changing and they change rapidly. One of the things you're going to do as a privacy analyst is take a look and conduct research tasks that are assigned to you by maybe the chief privacy officer or the data protection officer, or it might even be legal that will delegate some research tasks to you. I'll give you an example of a research task that a privacy analyst might partake in. For example, your organization, let's take, for example, the software as a service organization again. You are upgrading the current product offerings that you have to include artificial intelligence. One of the research tasks that you might be delegated is take a look at the interaction between our product and how we hope to integrate it with artificial intelligence and tell us which laws might be applicable. And you're going to do research. You're going to go onto the internet. You're going to use the tools that are provided by your organization, and you're going to do research. And generally the research, it might be information that you put into a Word document. It may be information that you compile in a spreadsheet, but you'll generally do some research into the privacy laws that will then be provided to your legal counsel to take action on the change to the product. So you play a very supporting role to other different groups within the organization. Generally, if you're a privacy analyst in your organization, there will be a legal team that will facilitate the advisory related to the data protection laws. And I talked a bit at the beginning about incidents. Incidents basically looks at the data protection laws generally will have specific guidelines on what must be done when a breach occurs. So one of the things that an analyst may do is obtain details from the stakeholders or different business units who anticipate that a breach has occurred. You're going to compile that documentation and then work with other privacy personnel to identify whether it is truly a breach or if it's just an incident, and then what the data protection laws require based on if a confirmed breach has occurred. Something else that a privacy analyst might conduct is you might assist with the record of processing activities. Now, the record of processing activities is a mandatory document under certain data protection laws, and it basically compiles instances where your organization processes personal data in a specific format. There's a very specific format that the ROPA follows. And again, it's a risk mitigation exercise. You as a privacy analyst are going to be tasked with obtaining information from the different stakeholders. Now, as you may be aware or you may not be aware, personal data is inevitable in every single organization. There's no organization that doesn't process personal information. So the record of processing activity is generally conducted based on business unit to business unit. You'll compile information related to different processing activities that are done within a business unit. And there are several questions that need to be answered within the ROPA. One of the questions that will be answered is, what is the actual processing activity? Who are the data subjects involved with this processing activity? So one of the reasons I wanted to go over what a privacy analyst will do is, for those of you that are considering taking the various privacy certifications, it might be insightful for you to understand what it is that you're going to get into from a workflow perspective. And then also you might want to do research if you are looking at interviews with different organizations to try and see if you're not already in the privacy space and you're looking for overlap in some of the activities that an analyst might do. If an analyst role is something that you currently do and you're looking at changing industries, it might be useful for you to know what other organizations are doing from an analyst perspective that you're not currently doing. But generally, I think it's very useful for people considering taking the exams, brand new people to the privacy space that are looking to catch their first role. What can they expect from an activity perspective on a day-to-day basis that's really useful in gauging whether privacy definitely is for you and what type of transferable skills you have related to some of the activities that an analyst generally will provide to an organization. Now, every organization is different. Some organizations are very lean with their privacy team. Some will have legal, a chief privacy officer, and then a privacy analyst. So the types of roles that you are going to be doing interviews for may vary in terms of job description. One thing that I wanted to mention for people that are brand new to data protection is that the privacy program is very broad and it encompasses a lot of different components depending on the organization you're joining. If you are joining a healthcare organization, the types of activities you'll do on a day-to-day basis may center explicitly towards HIPAA compliance, and every privacy law is different. Hence, every privacy analyst role is going to be different. If you're currently a privacy analyst or you're looking at getting into the privacy space, leave a comment below. I'd love to speak with you. And you can ask me any questions that you have about what the role might look like for the organizations that you're looking to apply to. Industry definitely matters from a privacy analyst perspective. So take a very deep look at the job description. And I will say that for the exams that you're going to take, pay special attention to the industry that you're planning to join, because that will influence some of the activities that your organization is going to have you do. And if it is that you're planning to be a contractor or you're setting up your own consulting practice for privacy, I would take a look at some of the insights that are provided on the certifying body websites, because there's a lot of discourse that happens in these groups and you'll be able to gain insights specifically related to industry. One thing that I wanted to make note of is not every privacy law is going to apply to your organization. So you need to be very careful with your research when you're looking at what you might be doing on a day-to-day basis and ensure that it aligns with your own career development. So I really hope you found this video useful. If you have any questions about what a privacy analyst might be doing or what you might be getting into, leave a comment below and I'll see you in another video.